Hey y'all, my name is Jasmine Jones and I am a licensed clinical social worker, and you are now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild. And this is a little show I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews. And today we are reviewing Get Out, and we are sipping on Kahlua and chocolate liqueur, Kahlua and oat milk. Yes, like Kahlua. It just tastes like a chocolate milk drink with a little sprinkle of coffee. Them the types of drinks that'll fuck you up. How y'all doing? So I rewatched this movie. I watched it when it first came out, but it wasn't one of them movies that I wanted to watch again. So but now that I've watched it again, the horror of what this man experienced. And once again, I'm just so happy that he let this man live at the end of this movie, because I don't think I could have withstood the trauma upon trauma upon trauma with no happy ending. Like, we don't need so much despair in our Black lives. We don't. I'm tired of it. Like, Taraji P. Henson's show came out on Netflix, and I saw the trailer, and I was like, I don't feel like she running around crying. She's sweaty. She's sad. She's miserable. People talking about, well, he speaks to a subgroup of women that I know he does. But I don't want to watch it. I don't care. Like, I don't want to be triggered like that. And so Get Out is a horror movie, and I can do horror. I can do a horror movie. Because it's realistic, but it's not realistic. Like, they're not this calculated and smart in real life. White people aren't this calculated and smart. They don't have the technology to do this. This is a sci-fi horror movie. So it's pretend. But the message is still very clear. So first, we're going to start off with like the science, because it's going to touch on a lot of different parts. And so we're going to start with epigenetics. So Dr. Joy DeGruy wrote this book, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, and it talks about how trauma is passed down genetically, generation by generation. And how this is done is, in the simplest terms as I can explain it, is that when the person is pregnant and they're experiencing trauma during the pregnancy, they have higher rates of cortisol. So trauma, depression, anxiety for long periods of time, periodically throughout their pregnancy, they have high levels of cortisol, which then transfer down to the child, who is born with high levels of cortisol. And cortisol is just the stress hormone that comes out when we're in fight, flight, or freeze, that like shuts down our digestive system, moves all the blood to our limbs, getting us ready for fight, flight, or freeze, right? But if you're constantly being stressed out and you're constantly being being put in survival mode, basically, then you're going to constantly be producing cortisol, which will then eventually cause attribute to a lot of inflammation in your body, right? So with a baby being born with high levels of cortisol, the baby is basically born stressed out. And if they're born into a traumatic environment, they are more likely to develop mental health issues that they then can pass down genetically, the mental health issues, as well as the high levels of cortisol, to their own children. And then it just keeps going generation by generation and by generation until you have a culture, a community, and ethnicity with similar traumas and similar issues mental health wise, right? So when we apply this to white people have been conquering and pillaging the earth since Rome tried to take over Europe. But I've mentioned this in other videos, but if anybody's new, I like to explain the science before I get into why white people scare the shit out of me. Because you're not going to sit up in here and say, oh, you're anti this and blah, 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 that. I'm not going to say racist. You can't be racist against somebody that you don't systematically control. But discriminatory this and whatever. No. There's science behind it. So just hear me out. So you're trying to take over Europe. Rome's trying to take over Europe. Then the Crusades happen. Then colonialism happens. So you're taking over other people's countries, raping, pillaging, all this other stuff. Stealing, conquering. Slavery happens, where you have your own little plantations where you're experimenting on black people, stringing them up from trees. Then segregation happens, where you're killing black people and you're stringing them up from trees and having picnics under their dead bodies with your children who are also seeing this. And The war on drugs, black men get arrested in mass, just the timeline, killed off the Black Panthers and stuff like that. So there's this timeline of narcissistic sociopathic behaviors from these people. And I truly believe that white people have epigenetic trauma that has been bred into them, but because they rule the world, they don't feel the need. There's no consequences for these. There's no en masse consequences for these behaviors, and there never has been. So it's never been bred into them to fix themselves. They don't lose anything by acting like this for the most part, unless they're very extreme killers, like serial killers or something like that. But for the most part, if you own a company, if you run a country and shit like that, and you're a sociopath or a narcissist and you lean into that heavily and you're harming people and stuff, look at Trump. Most likely, they elected him twice. Look what he's doing. They snatching babies and shit off the street, and them Latin folks out there protesting and blowing shit up right now. Good for them. The fuck, I don't care, because they wasn't listening any other way. They weren't listening any other way. So sometimes you gotta fight fire with fire. That ain't none of my business. I'm in my house. Don't arrest me, okay? I'm just saying what's happening. I am spreading news and facts. So what's also been bred into them is the objectification of the people that they conquer. It hasn't been bred in them to see other people that don't look like them as human beings. It hasn't been bred into them for a good portion of them to even see themselves as human beings, because white people tried to conquer themselves first. So it's an inherent self-hatred that usually is why people are racist, are discriminatory. They just need a reason to put it on you. So they use your skin color or whatever as an excuse to project their own self-hatred onto people, right? So when I watch shit like this, just not alone. Like, yeah, this all makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised if they wasn't at the very least stealing organs and shit. That's been the rumor for decades, is that they kidnap black folks and steal their organs and shit like that. I would not be surprised. They used to cut us up and eat us and shit. Like, they used to take our teeth out of our mouths to make their dentures and shit. They're savages. Like, they have a history of that. And until en masse they actively acknowledge this and heal without that weird ass white guilt that they have to express all the time to let you know that they feel guilty. Just be regular. Just heal and treat me like you would treat your cousin. Just be fucking regular. That's it. You don't have to express and do all this random shit. I am a white person, and I just want to know that I have read books and understand your plight. Honey, I don't care. Read the books and keep the knowledge, and then treat people regular. That's all we want. We don't need you to be up here having these long ass speeches about how you know about slavery and how you went to cultural lessons and whatever the fuck. Okay, take the lesson was supposed to teach you to treat people like people, not to make you feel so guilty that even the mere presence of a black person makes you feel so anxious that you have to spout out all this random shit for no fucking reason, which is kind of what this white bitch did in the movie. It looked like she was standing up for him to the police officer. It looked like she was standing up to him for him to her parents and shit like that, and her brother and shit, but in reality that was fake. Because if you really gave a fuck, you would know, you wouldn't even went and met your parents at the end of the day, because they're serial killers. You would have acknowledged in the beginning when he asked you, hey, do your parents know I'm black? You would have been like, oh yeah, I know that can be an issue. Let me check the temperature so you don't feel uncomfortable. But no, instead we got these displays of white saviorisms and shit like that he wasn't clocking. So that's one thing. And then the second little psychological thing that I want to mention is the brain's affinity for familiarity. So our brain is set up for familiarity. There's this theory called the familiarity theory. And so what it says is, what is the mere exposure effect? So it's familiarity theory based off the mere exposure effect. The mere exposure effect describes our tendency to develop preferences for things simply because we are familiar with them. For this reason, it also is known as the familiarity principle. So basically, our brain has an affinity for the familiar, even if the familiar is toxic. And I also found this other study that was saying, like, what did it say? Science has just confirmed that if you're not outside your comfort zone, you're not learning. Stability shuts down your brain's learning centers, new Yale research shows. So if you don't step outside of what's familiar, you're not learning. So if what's familiar is toxic, then you're just stuck in that toxic place with familiarity, and the brain will have an affinity for the familiar uncomfortable things and lean more towards doing that than the unfamiliar the uncomfortableness in the unfamiliar positive thing. So that's this nigga throughout the whole movie. This nigga is like clocking the weirdness of the white folks and feeling nervous, but he in the beginning he only really questions the black people, like how the black folks are weird and why they're acting this way. But the white folks really had to get him to a place where it felt like he was on an auction block, and the lady is touching on his arm and doing all this weird shit before, like, the bitch hypnotizes you without your permission, love. And you black out and don't remember the night before, and you're telling your friend, oh no, she's a psychiatrist, so no, love, that's not how that works. They're supposed to get your consent. You're supposed to sign a consent form so that they're not liable if some bullshit happens. They're not supposed to just randomly fucking hypnotize you and shit. Like, no. And so he's making excuses in the beginning for, like, the various things I'm clocking in these white people, because I have learned how to step outside of the familiar and not just be calling these white people microaggression things like normal, and really seeing them as the red flags that they are, that let me know that, oh, okay, I'm not going to your house, love. Like, no. I'm not gonna be up under you like that. You giving off weirdo vibes. Like, I don't, because I know white people that don't give off weirdo vibes like that. They still, because it's culture is ingrained and you have to actively be working it out your system. They still here and there do little microaggressions, but they don't give off weirdo vibes like they objectify me and see me as a fucking animal and shit. So since I've met white people that don't do that, I know when white people are doing that this could potentially escalate to some bullshit. He's not aware of that. So the movie stars Daniel Kaluuya, this white woman, and Lil Rel. I didn't know name up. And it starts off with what's his name? Lakeith Stanfield in the beginning of the movie, right? So he's like the tipping point. He's what starts it off, right? So Lakeith Stanfield is walking around this suburban neighborhood, and my thing is, he was kidnapped, but he's from Brooklyn. I'm assuming he's from a black, Brooklyn was still black at this point. So my thing was, why is he walking around by himself in a suburb? Like, did he take the bus here, the train? They be taking subways and shit on the East Coast. Maybe he took a subway to meet his girl in the suburbs and got lost. I'm gonna leave it at that. And this nigga just picked him up off the road. Maybe that's because when I first watched this movie, I thought Lakeith was in the same neighborhood as the white folks that is chopping people's brains up and shit. And I was just like, why are you even in that neighborhood? Like, why your girl live all the way over there? Why you ain't got no car? Had so many questions, but I'm just going to chalk it up to, it probably wasn't the white people's neighborhood. That white dude was trolling for black dudes and just happened to be in that suburb and saw him. And the nigga was going to see his girl and probably took the train, and that's why he was walking. So that's the simple answer is usually the right answer. So anyways, he's walking trying to get to his girl's house, and like this white car pulls up next to him, right? And so he decides that he's going to cross the street because he don't know what's going on, and white people are crazy, and so he just decides to cross the street, right? As he's crossing the street, he sees that the driver's side door is open. The white dude had got out the driver's side door, came up behind him and choked him the fuck out. See, that's why I carry a knife. That's why I carry a knife, because two stabs in the back of me to the side of your ribs, nigga. Like, you gonna hurt for this. You may not die, but you gonna hurt for this. You gonna hurt for this try. And so he snatches him, right? And then we move on to Daniel Kaluuya in his apartment, and he's getting ready to go. And he's like this photographer. I'm not going to say he's a colorist. I'm just going to say he's clueless, because we don't have any history of his dating experiences. He got a lot of black art on the wall, but something makes me want to lean a little bit towards colorism, because you was clocking all this shit that these weird ass black people were doing, but making excuses for these white people. And I just, I don't know what that's about. Like, I'm just like, so these patterns are telling me that maybe you have an affinity for whiteness. Maybe that's what your brain has normalized as normal, and maybe you have dated mostly white women in the past or something, but they never said it. So I'm just gonna go with, he truly loves this white woman. Her personality is popping. But then the way he was talking about the maid and shit, like, oh, that bitch crazy, and she was crazy. But I need you to match that same energy with the white people that was grabbing on you and like hypnotizing you. And like the brother tried to put you in a headlock and you was just sitting there cheesing and shit. And I was just like, he may have been dissociating and stuff like that. But still, it was just like, but the black bitch is crazy. Okay. The brother that put you in a headlock, that's just normal, goofy white people shit. Okay. Now I'm going to say he's a colorist. I just feel like it shouldn't have took them white people doing all of that for you to realize something was off with these white people, with everybody here. Okay, it shouldn't have took all of that. It should have just took the first time, you know, she said that she didn't tell her family you were black. That's all it should have took. I would have been like, well, I'm not going then. Like, but I just feel like when you have some shit like sociopath, that girl's a sociopath. She, you know, and we talked about, you know, I'll keep bringing this book up because it's fascinating. Dr. Patrick Gagney, the sociopath, her memoir and shit. And like how she realized that it might be a spectrum disorder, and it's just about sociopaths not being able to experience or feel social emotions. Like they can feel the base emotions that we're born with, like happy, sad, maybe some anxiety and shit like that, but like social emotions like resentment, guilt, fear, things like that come from like interacting with other people, and like you know, noticing how your interactions with other people impact, you know, or how your interactions impact other people and how their interactions impact you. So those type of emotions are hard for sociopaths to access. But if you work at it and you're on a low grade of sociopathy, you can eventually access those things. But most of the time, what she described is that she feels just apathetic. And the apathy was causing anxiety to build up and feeling like this pressure inside of her that she needed to release, because your brain is built for socializing. And the fact that it can't reach those emotions causes that pressure to build up over time. And then you crash out and you do something to pump some adrenaline or some dopamine through your brain, which is usually something violent. So she didn't want to be violent. She made a decision at a very young age, after she stabbed a little girl in the neck with a pencil and felt all the euphoria in the world like it was a drug, that she didn't want to be a violent person. Like that wasn't who she was, mainly based off consequences and because she is capable of caring about people and she didn't want to hurt people. But there are people that are out there being traumatized, or they're on the far end of the sociopathic spectrum, and we call those psychopaths. And it's been theorized that the psychopaths may have no access at all to those social emotions and may have no access to empathy at all. And they're more extroverted in their psychopathology or whatever, and more extreme in that case. But like if you've been in a trauma situation, you like, this bitch grew up in a family of serial killers. They're serial killing and dehumanizing people, and each hunt for a new nigga is an emotion that you can feel. It's an adrenaline rush and dopamine and shit like that. That's what you gonna normalize in your brain. Like this is the normal way to live life, to not see black people as people, and to hunt them down like animals and to butcher them. Right. So, no, the bitch was crazy. Like, she just fell all the way into it, and she said, I'm okay with killing motherfuckers, and I get off on the hunt. She built this whole persona up for each of her boyfriends and shit. And this nigga didn't know, but I really feel that them type of people can't hide it all the way. The way he was overlooking that white people shit that he was dealing with at her family's house, that's a pattern. That tells me that there probably were moments where something felt off with this bitch. And you just chalked it up to white people are weird. Lord Jesus. See, you just out here normalizing fucking violence and toxic behaviors. And then, you know, and then he was traumatized as a child because his mom died. I think she got hit by a car and died on the side of the road or something like that. And so it sounds like she was a decent mom, but because she died when he was so young, like, he's been sitting with that trauma on his chest. I like how Daniel Kaluuya plays traumatized men. Like, he plays the same kind of character in Nope, but maybe he's a little bit quieter in Nope than he is in this. It's kind of like this quiet, stoic type of character that, you know, there's a lot going on inside, but like, he tries to, you know, when you talk to him, he tries to put on the face, but then when you're not talking to him, he's like this very flat affect, and he's just kind of observant and things like that. And like, you don't, and it's like almost like a dissociative type of character like that he plays when he plays a traumatized black man. And you don't see that often when we see like people play traumatized black men. They're just very violent usually. These traumatized black male characters on these shows are like usually very violent, very just like extrovertedly violent and angry and things like that. So it's very rare to just see somebody that is like a decent human being, but they just hurting and shit. And to be a black man, and how somebody like that would carry that hurt. So I think because of his past traumas and not healing from that, he just normalized struggle. He's normalized this struggle type of love, put up with shit just to be with somebody type of love. That's what I feel in my spirit. Like, we didn't get all into that, but I feel based off of how he was with that family, and you sitting up here overlooking shit in the very beginning, I feel like that's how he was. That's how he is with his girlfriend. And so I feel like because sociopaths can't hide it completely, especially if you've been with them for 5 months, you ain't gonna hide it all the time like that. You're not. And that's why I say you got to look at how people treat themselves and how they treat other people. That's where the pattern's going to lie. And once you watch that, that'll let you know. Like, for me, her reaction to racial stuff is not the same as his reaction. And for me, I'm going to like, I'm a different type of bitch though. Like, don't fuck with my nigga. Like, I'm going to try to address what's going on with my dude. Like, where are you at? Are you okay? Like, that was a lot. And like, she wasn't really addressing it with him. Like, she was just going on and on and on until she noticed that he wasn't really going on and on and on with her. And then that's when she addressed it. Like, off top, I'd just be like, are you okay? Like, no, that wasn't okay. What happened? Like, are you okay? Like, I just feel like it was off. It was just performative. It was the white savior situation. So anyways, they're going to her parents' house to meet, so he can meet her parents. And like, he's asking her, like, do they know I'm black? And she's like, oh yeah, you know, I should just call them and tell them that I'm with a black man. And I'm just like, girl, you understand all this other racial shit. Why wouldn't you understand that? Why is this a joke? Why is this funny? She's like, my dad would have voted for Obama 3 times in a row. See, that would have been a red flag for me too. Like, who says that? Why are we doing this performative shit? Like, talk to him regular. Like, ask him why that bothers him at least. If you don't understand, ask why it's upsetting. You know, like, whatever, girl. Anyways, they go and they ride along on the road to her parents' house. Little Rail is watching his dog while he's gone, right? He's a TSA agent, right? Little Rail has warned him not to go with this white woman. So Little Rail is the voice of reason in this motherfucker, okay? Like, he is clocking weird white shit. He is he is clocking this shit. Daniel's making excuses. She's like, oh, it's gonna be fine. I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so they're on the road driving and he hits a deer. And I looked it up, and apparently like the deer is supposed to represent like, you know, how vulnerable black men are in society, and, you know, being made a buck during slavery, and, you know, all this other stuff, and how they're taken advantage of. And then the rant that the dad did, I just replaced deer with niggas. And so it's all this representation, because they lingered on the deer, and I was just like, why are they lingering on the deer? Let me look this up before I start this, because he's standing there staring at this animal like it's doing too much. So yeah, it's supposed to represent all of that. And so she calls the police, and the police come, and low key, I was just like, what if the police is in on it and he's a part of the act, just to make her situation seem like she's closer to him than she really is. Like, because the police didn't ask for his ID, even though he wasn't driving. And then she goes off and she's like, well, he's not, you know, he you know, he wasn't driving, and this is bullshit, and and the police officer like listens to her. But I just feel like, what if that was just all a part of the act? Because everybody at that party they had was acting. They were a part of the act. Like, as soon as he went upstairs and everybody got quiet, they were all a part of it. Like, so I would not be surprised if that police officer was not a part of that shit. So they head on down the road. They get to the dad's house, the parents' house, and the dad is all like extra and, oh, we're huggers and shit. See, me, I would have been like, but I'm not a hugger. So here we go. See, immediately setting boundaries. And I appear to be an asshole. Like, don't hug me. Like, I don't know you like that, sir. And you gotta be cautious with niggas, especially old niggas. Like, I remember one time I was standing talking to like this couple, and like they were like in their 60s, and the husband, I had a little dress on and my cleavage was out. The husband was staring at my titties the whole fucking time. That's why I don't like giving niggas hugs. Ew. No, because they use that as an opportunity to try you in a way that is undetectable. So if you say anything, then, no, I wasn't. Okay, love. I don't have the energy for you to be like, no, I wasn't. And so I'm just going to straight up be like, I'm not a hugger. And then you can do with that what you will. I don't care. Even women sometimes, but like not often, because like that's only happened a few in between times. Men, it's almost damn near every time that I try to just do it. Just give this nigga a hug. It always just feels weird energy. It feels weird energy. I don't like it. I don't like giving random niggas hugs. So yeah, me, I would have been like, no, I'm not a hugger though. You can be a hugger, but I'm not. Yeah, let's shake hands. Right, good. Let's go inside. They would have probably killed me on the doorstep, y'all. I don't know. But then I wouldn't be in this situation. I'm not dating no white man. I'm not. I don't. And I'm not saying like, I love. If that's where you find love, and it's real love, and it's not fetishism and colorism and all sorts of shit, you do that. But for me, I don't. I'm just not attracted to white people like that. I don't like they splotchy red skin. I don't. If you're not racist, your damn family gonna be racist. Like, I'm just not attracted to white men like that. I don't care. I'm not. I really am not attracted to white men. Like, they're not. No. So I wouldn't be in that situation. And then the niggas that got issues like that, I be clocking your personality and your behavioral traits before you even can get me into a situation where I would end up going across the state to meet your parents. Like, I would already clock that shit because I'm paying attention. Like, you don't have to look for nothing. They just will show it, and they don't even realize they showing it. Just like how I could clock that this nigga's a nice dude, but he ain't paying attention to shit because he's normalized white people being weird. And he said in his brain that's okay. That these microaggressions are fine. And that's what niggas be doing though. Like, I've had black male clients that have told me some horrendous ass shit about what they've put up with their like white female partners and shit. And I would just be sitting there like, the fuck? And they would just be laughing it off because we're used to, they put themselves in struggle love too. Like, think of it this way, though, they're the niggas that will turn down a decent woman, and then you find out like 3 months later he's in a relationship with some woman that's like 15 years older than him and got 3 kids, and they got all 3 of her kids in his house, like shit like that. And you just be like, what? Are they dating a neighborhood addict and shit? And I'm just like, why would you turn down this bitch that's single and got a degree and got her life together? Like, being around the positive that he's not used to makes his brain uncomfortable. And he doesn't want to stretch himself that far to try to be with something that's better for him, because that takes too much work. I'm gonna go what I'm used to and just have these 3 random kids in my house and this lady that's like eating up my food and wasting my money and shit, because I'm used to that. Just like we do the same thing that makes us stay with toxic men. That's what they manipulate in us. That's the vulnerability that we have to cleanse out of ourselves, so we don't end up in a situation like on For My Man and we're in jail for 20 years because this nigga told us to hold something. Or like Fatal Attraction, like that lady that let that nigga from the church that just got out of jail live in her house, and then a few weeks later he cut her head off and put it in a bucket in the basement. And I just no, because that's why I watch true crimes, because I need that visual to remind me why I need to work hard every day to be a better bitch and be clocking these motherfuckers that got shit going on, because you don't know where red flags lead. They all look the same in the beginning. Like, Jeffrey Dahmer was wishy-washy, just like Lil Rel. Jeffrey Dahmer was wishy-washy and love bombing in the beginning. That's how he got them niggas to his apartment, you know? And like, then he murdered them and ate them and slept with their bodies and shit, like for weeks at a time until it started to stink. Like, but I'm sure his love bombing and wishy-washiness looked the same as the nigga that you was with for 10 years that cheated on you all the time. But in the beginning, you didn't know he was going to cheat on you all the time. He was just showing these random ass red flags that you were overlooking, because we are used to struggle. Our brain was used to struggle love. And we decided that this was okay and I could fix him, and instead of stretching ourselves to imagine what it would look like to be with somebody that actually does show up for us. Because first you have to show up for yourself. First you have to show up for yourself so that you know what it looks like when somebody shows up for you. Like, literally, that's why I said love yourself first, because when I get depressed, I'm going to take a nap and I'm going to rest. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to make sure I don't have too much on my schedule so that I can have that time to rest. When I'm hungry, I'm going to eat something nice that I like. When, you know, like, I like going on adventures, so when I want to go on adventures, I'm gonna find a fun place to go to. Like, I like different types of clothes and creating different outfits and stuff that make me feel good. The things that make me feel good, I'm gonna expect that from a nigga. Like, I'm gonna expect you to take care of me when I'm depressed, just like I would take care of you if you were depressed. As long as you're getting the help you need, because I get the help I need. And that's how I've learned. The depression isn't going to go away just because you went to therapy. You just learn how to deal with it better and shit, bitch. Like, now I've gone from, like, you know, sleeping in the bed for a whole week and shit to maybe a day. I just need a day to myself. Day and a half at most. But most of the time it's a day, because I just get I get the ick when I'm in bed for too long. And so I'm going to expect those same things, those same courtesy from the person I'm with, because I give it to myself. I'm going to expect good food from a nigga because I give myself good food. And I'm going to make sure you get good food too. Like, all the things I do for myself, I'm going to do for a man. If I don't get that reciprocated, then I'm just the one pouring into you and you're siphoning me like a vampire, and I don't feel like it. I don't have that energy for you, love. It's not going to happen. So first you got to start with yourself and loving yourself in the way that you want to be loved. So then you can't be like, oh, I don't know what it looks like to be loved. And yes, you do. Don't you treat yourself nice? Don't you listen to yourself? Don't you take care of yourself when you sick and work? And haven't you worked at, like, not shaming yourself for resting and doing self-care and shit like that? Why would you invite somebody in your life that will make you regress back to that? because they shame you and make you feel bad for taking care of yourself. They're jealous and an op because you have a good career and shit and you're happy and stuff, instead of encouraging you like you encourage yourself. Like, you know what it feels like, because the goal is that you do it to yourself first. And then you collect the friends and the family that also show you those good traits and good things. And then, you have that outside validation to kind of see what it looks like coming from other people. And then when you finally meet the person you're supposed to be with, that's the expectation. If they don't meet the expectation, we're not compatible. I don't know what to tell you. We're not compatible. You over here making me feel bad because I have a career, because I have degrees and shit. Like, get the fuck out of my face. So he's in that struggle love place, and I truly believe there were signs to say that there was something wrong with her. And just like he overlooked the signs in her family and let that bitch hypnotize him, I'm sure he overlooked the signs that she probably showed. You can't have a severe mental health issue like that and not show signs after like 2 or 3 months. Because human beings can't hold the mask consistently like that. It's going to slip at some point. And you making excuses for the slippage is what's going to lead you down the path of who knows. Who knows? You might end up in a box, or you might end up with an STD. Who knows where the path leads? But the start always looks the same. So anyways, they get to Dad's house. Dad wants a hug. Like, he's saying these little microaggression things and being weird and shit. And he's just sitting there laughing and smiling, even though you can tell he's uncomfortable and shit like that. And then apparently, later on that night, the weird ass brother that's rambunctious and extrovertedly a psychopath, comes, and then he starts talking about like his athleticism and his body and shit. And like, I just feel like a lot of men have been sexualized. A lot of black men have been sexualized to the point where they've normalized that as a personality trait, as this is all people see in me, so I might as well just be this. And it's like, okay, so we're just leaning into what's familiar, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it makes us feel weird, even if it makes us feel unloved and shit. At least I'm not by myself. Okay. And then the nigga starts talking about like, oh, do you know any type of like martial arts or MMA or whatever? And he's just like, oh yeah, I took judo after school when I was in the first grade. Like, first grade. I nigga don't remember that shit like that. And this motherfucker get up and try to put this bitch in a headlock. And I was just like, and then the mom walks in and sees and tells him to stop. And literally they're just telling him to stop because they don't want him to ruin the merchandise. They're putting on this act, and it's just so gross. And the slippage is so obvious when these masks slip off. And I'm just watching this and I'm just like, y'all niggas, you don't see that, honey? Are you just think this is normal white people shenanigans? Like, this is not normal white people shenanigans of a decent white person. Like, this is not like, oh, this white person just really happens to like mayonnaise on everything. No, this is like they're invading your space and like commenting on your body and your race and shit. These are red flags and shit. Like, if you just like mayonnaise on everything, just keep your food over there, and I'm gonna keep my food separate from you, girl. You can like that on everything. You know, Paris Hilton puts ketchup on like steaks and shit. Like, I seen it when she did her little documentary, her little cooking show or whatever the fuck on Netflix and stuff. And she was talking about how she puts ketchup, and she'll be going to these 5-star restaurants. God, why don't you ruin it? But you know, my taste buds are not her taste buds, and that's what I mean. Like, that's quirky white people shit, okay? That you can just overlook and be like, okay, girl, that's your steak. Keep your steak on your plate. I don't know. I don't want to try it. I don't want to. You keep that shit over there. You know, I'm sure I can get an idea of what it tastes like. I've had hamburgers with ketchup and shit on it, but that's, oh God, no, because I love steak, and you know, why would you, girl, keep that shit over there? But I'm not gonna just because you put ketchup on steak, that means you're a horrible ass white person. No, that's the quirky shit that you overlook, but not shit that pertains to who you are as a human fucking being, love. Like, you overlook it. You overlooking shit that's gonna lead you down a path of destruction. I left that house immediately. I wouldn't even be in this situation. I'm not going to be in this situation. I'm not dating a white person. I'm not dating some toxic person. Like, I'm not. So I'm not gonna, and I'm gonna trust in God to make sure I don't, because I can't do it by myself. Because I will go into gullible mode if you're nice to me. And so I'm gonna trust in God to make sure to show me the signs I need to see so I don't go into gullible mode. So it's not just me, it's the Lord. Because I can't do it by myself. I will gullible out and just be like, oh, he's so nice. And then next thing you know, I'm getting socked in the face by some nigga. Okay, no. So it's God and me together like this. He's going to keep them niggas away from me. And so, like, he's just hee-hawing. And so it's nighttime, right? And I guess they're supposed to have, like, some gathering for the grandfather that passed. And then they have, like, this maid there, and she's black, and this gardener, he's the gardener, he's black. And I'm just like, it's funny because when they had the party and Lakeith Stanfield is like the white man that's living inside of Lakeith Stanfield is like, oh no, I don't experience discrimination and but then I never leave the house. I know the grandparents are experiencing it though and not realize, they're not clocking it. Like, they made you the maid and they made you the servants, yes, to keep up facades, but it's just like, why make you the servants? Why can't they be friends that came to the events and stuff? Why can't they be friends of the family that are just staying at the house? Why do we have to automatically go to servant? Because you're black. So, you know, you're inside of a black person, you're still like low key, because culture is a subconscious thing. It will come out whenever, because the brain has normalized these behaviors. So all y'all could turn black today, Nick. And you would be discriminated against immediately, and your own family is doing it by making you maids and servants, and you're probably going along with it because you think this is like, you know, we're just tricking this black guy. But no, like, because you could have been anything else. You didn't have to be maids and servants. You could have been anything else. And I love how the maid and the gardener like acted their parts, because they were very stiff. And you could, whatever they practiced with their eyes to show that there was something else going on in their eyes while their face was like smiling and trying to be regular. That's amazing. Them motherfuckers are actors, bitch. Like, their eyes were looking scared while they were smiling. And I was just like, this is amazing. Okay. So anyways, like, they having like this get together gathering. I forgot what it was for, like the grandfather death anniversary, because they told him the grandfather was dead or some shit. So they're gonna have that like the next day or something, right? So it's nighttime right now though, and so like he's a smoker, right? And I guess the dad caught him earlier in the day while they were sitting out on the patio, because he was tapping his hand, and the dad could tell that he was a smoker, because that was like, he's jonesing. I guess that's what they do when they jonesing for his, I don't fucking know. And he's just like, oh yeah, I'm trying to get off of that, but you know, it's just taking some time or whatever. So he sneaks out to go smoke a cigarette in the backyard, right? He don't see it, but the grandmother's awake, being creepy, walking around, the black woman servant, I don't know. And then he's outside about to light up, and the grandfather, the black dude, is just like sprinting towards him in some creepy ass way. I think they're just like, they love being in these new bodies, because they died old and decrepit and they could barely move and shit. So they're like doing all this extra exercising, and the grandmother's all in the mirror looking at herself and being fucking weird and shit like that. And so the grandfather's running in the backyard, and he runs up to him and then turns real quick. And I'm just like, I think part of it was he just likes feeling, it's like putting on some clothes. They don't see us. They don't see us as people. And then at the same time, I think he also was trying to scare this nigga too. And then the nigga said something weird the next day. Like, he was all like he was outside, and the gardener dude was just like, oh, she's a lovely one, isn't she? He was talking about the white woman that he was dating, Rose. That's the character's name, Rose. And like, he was like, oh, she's a lovely one. And I like it too, because they're trying to act like black people who have white people inside of them. So they're saying all these old euphemisms from like the 1950s and shit. Dory or some shit. I was just like, okay, y'all took these characters somewhere. And he was just looking at him like, what do you mean? She was like, yeah, she's the top pick of the litter, top of the pile, some weird ass shit. And he was like, yeah, I guess. And then he goes and tells her. So he's telling her all the weird shit that the black people are doing. But like the weird, like I think, and then he tells her like the mom hypnotized him, but he was blowing it off like it wasn't a big deal. She was more mad than he was. I was like, nigga, why you even tell her then? Why you even tell her if you're not even upset about it? Like, you thought it was a funny, like, little anecdote that you could just, like, mention, oh, yeah, your mom hypnotized me last night. I blacked out. But, you know, she's a psychiatrist. So, you know, I no longer want to smoke cigarettes anymore. It makes me want to vomit. Okay. She left a parting gift with you now forever that is always going to traumatize you anytime you see cigarettes, and that's some bullshit, nigga. That's what these narcissist sociopath motherfuckers be doing. They like to leave shit with you. It's like the ex that be leaving a pen at your house just to have an excuse to come to your house and be like, I left my pen here. Bitch, I threw that in the trash. I don't know why you're outside my door. You better leave before I call the police. I threw that shit in the garbage, love. Everything of yours that wasn't useful to me or expensive, I threw it in the trash. The rest of it is mine. No, you left it. It's mine now as a gift. You can't prove that it's yours. This is free shit now. And so, like, this nigga is out here, like, telling her about how the black folks is weird. And then, like, during the party, the white folks is doing all this weird shit. Like he's on auction block. He's on display. They just saying all this weird racist shit to his face. And I'm just like, they really, like, no, this is a representation of real life. Like, that people out here are really thinking like this. Like, they're like saying, oh, well, black, you know, for 200 years, white was in, but now black is in. And I'm just like, we're all just humans, love. Like, that's like me saying, like, oh, you know, it's really trending now that people have cats. Like, that's how you talk about animals. Like, oh, yeah, I have a cat. Like, she's so precious. Like, that's how you talk about animals. You don't talk about human beings like that. Like, oh, yeah, like, a blacks is in. I'm just, girl. Then you got this weird ass white woman coming up to him, grabbing on his arm, touching him and shit. And then we see Lakeith Stanfield is there, and the white man is inside of him, and so he's acting weird, talking weird, and the dude recognizes him, right? But he's not sure like who he is. But he's with this like 20 years older white woman, and she's touching on him and shit. And the fucked up part is, so here's the thing. The mom hypnotized him when he came back into the house after smoking a cigarette, right? Like, he's very passive, and he's not like a boundary setter, because I would have firmly said no and walked away, because she had to like pick some trauma from his past as a touchstone in his mind to get him into the sunken place. And I'm just like, no, nigga, I read the fantasy novels and the dark fantasy romance. I know you have to build up a mental shield to block these motherfuckers. I seen Village of the Damned when them women were impregnated by them little white-haired alien babies and shit, and how Superman had to build up a shield for his a mental shield against them little white-haired alien babies. So that they couldn't read his mind and shit. And he thought of a brick wall, and he just kept thinking of that brick wall until he got everybody out the building, and then he blew that bitch up and killed all them little white-haired alien babies. I gotta watch Village of the Damned, the 90s version. I mean, there's a version that's earlier than that I've seen. It's cool, but like, I recognize the niggas in the 90s version and shit. The earlier version, I don't recognize them niggas. It's not the same. No, Superman is in the 90s version. Love, like, I don't know what you want to say. Don't put a little thing, because I know there's people in here like, Village of the Damned, what is that? Like, no. Every time I see like a little white kid wilding out and shit, I be in my head either calling them a little Children of the Corn or a Village of the Damn Child. I'll be like, look at that little Village of the Damn Child. Look at that little Children of the Corn child over there wilding the fuck out, yelling at his parents, and they just standing there letting them yell at him. Wow. I don't have that problem. God bless. So no, I've learned. I read, you know, Fourth Wing and shit like that. And no, nigga, you just have to build up your mental shield so these motherfuckers can't hypnotize you and shit. or read your mind. That's all you got to do. So you have to think of something that will be like a block against all your other thoughts. I'm sticking with the brick wall, because if I start thinking of other stuff, I'm gonna go into fantasy land and start daydreaming about shit, and then shit might come up that they don't need to know or some shit, or I might be lured into the hypnosis. But if I'm just thinking about one thing, a brick wall, I don't know if it's like you think of the visual of the brick wall, because in Village of the Damned, he just thought of the visual of the brick wall that was guarding his thoughts. But like, I would do both. I would think of the visual, and then I would say brick wall over and over again in my head too, because then it's like I can't think any other thought besides brick wall if I'm saying it over and over again in my head. It makes sense to me. So that bitch wouldn't have hypnotized me. I know you have to have a mental shield against these hoes. He didn't know that though. So she got him in a sunken place, and he's sinking all the way down into the darkness and shit, watching her from above. He's basically paralyzed. I think you have to be susceptible to hypnosis. Hypnosis doesn't just work on everybody. So like I said, this is fantasy. Like, they're not out here having the technology to like do any of this. You're not gonna put one brain from one person to, I mean, maybe the Japanese, like, you don't know what they doing over there. They in the head of science and shit. The Japanese, the South Koreans, some parts of Africa and shit, because these other countries aren't focused on raping and pillaging people, and they can focus on shit like science and trying to improve the world. See, when you're not focused on raping and pillaging, you can focus on other things that actually improve your country and the world. Anyway, so he has this mental lock in his head that he's not aware that he has now, right? So he's at the party, and he runs into this guy, and he is the head of well, first of all, he goes upstairs because he needs to tell Lil Rel, his friend, about the weird shit happening in this bitch, right? So he needs to talk to somebody black about these white people that are weird. He's still not fully clocking that this is not just weird white people shit. But no one expects to be murdered. But me watching enough true crimes and knowing that murderous intent looks very innocuous in the beginning, I expect to be murdered all the time. Until I really know you and trust you. I expect to be murdered. I expect to be taken advantage of. I know that it's possible to happen. I know it's a possibility that things could turn left if I don't pay attention to your behavioral patterns. And left could look like anything, and so I'm just gonna pay attention. That's all it is. But people that haven't like healed enough to just have that in the back of their mind, not in the forefront, not on the top of the hill, but just in the back of, there's a possibility of things that could happen with red flags. People that don't have that have no expectation at all to be murdered and tortured and all this other stuff. So I can see how he's not clocking this, even with all the struggle he's been through. Being murdered and tortured and all this other stuff, it was not on his bingo list. And so he's upstairs, and he's trying to like get his phone right, and the maid had unplugged his phone, and so he's just like, this bitch is crazy. Like, and then like he tells his girlfriend the maid unplugged his phone, and so it's dead now. And she's like, what? And so she goes and tells the maid that he unplugged the phone, that he knows that she unplugged the phone. Like, that's another, like, but he's not clocking it. And the maid comes in the room, and she starts apologizing in this weird ass way. And he was just like, oh yeah, I'm just kind of like nervous around white people. That is your nervous system letting you know that something is wrong here, love. This ain't just about you being nervous, but you're not clocking it. You just feel nervous. That's all. So he's not clocking that, and he's just like, oh yeah, I'm just nervous. And as soon as he says that, she's just like, the black woman inside of her is trying to fight her way out, and she can't. And she's just like, no, while tears are running down her face, because she's in there still, because they had to keep the nervous system connected to the brain stem so the motor functions will work and stuff. So you had to keep a part of the original brain, and that's where the real person is. She's like, no, and then tears are running down her eyes. This is creepy. And then like she's like, I've never felt that way before. I feel perfectly fine. And then she walks out, and he's like, this crazy bitch. And I'm just like, no one else in there is crazy either, love. Like, that white woman just grabbed all up on your titty meat and in public, and you were uncomfortable, but it still wasn't giving like the black woman acting weird was giving. Like, everybody in that room was making you feel uncomfortable, but the black woman acting weird was the thing that you was like, this crazy bitch. So he calls Lil Rel and tells him about his experience of being put on display with these white people. And Lil Rel's like, I told you not to go there. Like, I told you not to go to that people's house. I told you that it was going to be weird. He was like, then the excuses start coming. Like, oh, it's not, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. So he tells Lil Rel about the black dude that's there, Lakeith Stanfield. His name is Andre in the movie. And then he goes back downstairs when his phone's charged a little bit, and he tries to take a picture, like, secretively of Lakeith Stanfield. And he didn't realize his flash was on. So the flash goes off, and Lakeith just, like, his eyes open wide, and then he comes out, and he starts screaming at him, get out, and his nose starts bleeding, and then the white people grab him and drag him away, and this nigga is freaked the fuck out. And I'm just like, I just feel like there were more signs in the beginning before you got to this point that you wasn't clocking, but because you're normalizing weird white people behavior, you just let it slide, let it fly until this nigga started screaming at you and telling you that to get the fuck out. So he's sitting on the couch, and all the white people are gathered around him talking about, like, oh, he's just, seizures and shit. And he knows that's a lie because his brother has seizures, or his cousin or somebody has seizures, and that's not what a seizure looks like. So he gets up, and or his girl gets up, and they go for a walk, and he tells her that he's been freaking out, and her mom made him bring up shit about the death of his mom that he wasn't ready to face right now, and he's overwhelmed and he wants to go the fuck home. Okay, finally, the straw that broke the camel's back was this black dude doing all that, but it should have been as soon as that bitch tried to hypnotize you, girl. Like, but it's fine. It built up and it built up and it built up till this. So he is trying to go the fuck home, right? And while he's talking to her by the lake, they're having a silent bingo auction of who gets to have his body. And girl, I don't tell you, I just, ew, the depravity of it, the just disgustingness of it. Like, and the thing is, I know it's easy to overlook because we all know a white person that says stupid shit like, I would have voted for Obama a third time, and is extra about, being the white savior and all this other stuff. But the thing is that at some point, if you've known that white person for a long enough time, eventually they do show their true colors. They're not like decent white folks that are just treating you like a human being and just have occasional microaggressions here and there where you got to check them sometimes. No, these are the ones that are just extra obvious with their shit, trying to be this extra nice, extra this, extra that you just kind of are looking at because you're getting this weird energy from. And like I said, you don't know where it's going to lead, but it's going to lead somewhere where it's going to be upsetting at the very least if you stick around this motherfucker for too long or have this motherfucker in your personal space for too long of a time. So I'm not saying that like we should expect people to murder us. I'm just saying like the option is on the table because we never know where red flags lead, and that option is what keeps me safe and makes me not be in denial about seeing red flags. I mean, like red flags like betrayal shit that involves making me feel less than, even in the smallest way. Shit that I've told you I don't like, but you keep doing. Like the big stuff, not like I put ketchup on my steak. Like, I don't, girl, like it's nasty, but like that's your life. You ain't show me anything else to say that you like a horrible person. So if that's all it is, like you put that ketchup on that steak, girl. Like this is fucking Maestro's and shit, but like it's fucking crustaceans and shit, nigga. When you You asked that waiter for some ketchup for your steak, love. It's okay. I know you like that. Ugh. So we want to recognize, because we don't want to go into this jaded extreme place where like everybody's bad. We're not going to give them the benefit of the doubt at all. Everybody's bad and we're just waiting for them to hurt us. And no, everybody's not bad. We're not waiting for everybody to hurt us. We just need to not be in denial when the red flags pop up. That's all it is. You don't even have to look for red flags, love. Like, they just show themselves. You just have to be like, you just have to not be like, oh, well, he's just sad. Maybe he's having a bad day and he yelled at you in front of people. He yells at you, period. Why are you yelling? I don't have it for you. I don't know what you want me to have here in this situation because you're yelling at me. I'm not the one. I'm not the one or the two. I'm just gonna act like I don't know you no more. Like, you turn into a different nigga. Like, I don't care. And I always have my mental to go back. Like, if you get one over on me and put me into that gullible space and I believe that you're a decent person and you decide to switch up at any point, I'm ready to go at any point. Like, I'm okay with being sad over you. That's what's holding bitches there, is that they're not okay with being sad over losing a nigga. Like, fuck all that. I'm okay with being sad over losing you. It might take a while. I might be depressed. I've been depressed. I've been sad. I'm not about to be tortured. Like, you're not about to torture me, love. Like, you're not like, I'd rather be sad and depressed and miserable by myself, because I can get over that depending on how long we've been together. Let's say we've been together a year. It might take me about 6 months to fully get past you. To where I just never want to see you again and it's not happening. So, there may be a time period, maybe the first 3 months, that you could potentially turn it around. If you show me evidence that you've turned some shit around, and it depends on what it is, as long as it's not cheating or you hit me in the face or it's not emotional abuse. But like, there's going to be a point where I don't know you, nigga. Like, I don't know I've grieved you. It's over. I was sad. I was miserable. I sat on the couch, I ate ice cream. I was just bawling my eyes out. But I'm not scared of that. I'm not scared of being by myself, honey. Like, I'm not about to be tortured. Like, don't do that, because I wouldn't do that to you. I'm not going to sit up here and torture you. I will actively make sure to not torture you. And so, like, I understand that he had no expectation of how extreme things can be when it comes to red flags. So I understand that, like, him wanting to leave was more so that the weirdness had just piled up and he was just feeling like, this is too much and I need to get the hell up out of here. The black people are acting weird. The white folks is acting, I just feel like they was acting the same amount of weird that most white folks do, except for that hypnosis shit. So that's why he was overlooking it. Like, you've been in a crowd of white folks, you know how they do. They want to touch your hair and they be saying racist shit, and he was just taking that shit to the chin, like most of us do. I only do that at a business event, and then I try to steer clear of them white. As soon as you start saying some shit that sounds microaggressive or racist, I try to make a quick, polite, professional exit from that conversation, because I'm not about to cuss you out in this professional setting around all these other people, because all these other people don't know that you said some fuck shit, and I'm gonna be the one looking crazy, and this networking opportunity that I have is gone now. So, he wanted to leave, and so she played along. She played along while they were over there having a little silent, funky ass auction for his body parts. I hate that. So disgusting. And so she acts like she's going to pack too, and they're going to go in the house and they're going to get the keys and they're going to go, right? So while he's packing, he knows this little like door on the wall. Like, it's like this little tiny room that people have in their houses. I don't know. I think rich people have it in their houses. This is a little door on the wall that you can put little things in, little hidey hole door. And he goes and looks and sees this red box. And in the red box, so this bitch in the beginning says she had never been with a black dude. He opens the box. It's pictures of her with other niggas. And then there's pictures of her with the gardener looking all lovey-dovey. Then there's pictures of her with the maid. So she's bisexual or whatever. And he's just like, the fuck? And so he closed the box and then closed the door, and she been standing there the whole time. Of course she saw him, but she acted like she didn't. So he's like, oh yeah, I was just looking for my camera. And so she gets his camera. It was on the dresser. And they going downstairs, and then everybody is congregated in the foyer. The brother there with this, like, this, what is it? What is the net with the stick? What is that? Rugby. He's there with the rugby stick, just swinging it around, looking aggressive. And then the mom is there with her little teacup. The dad is there with his little speech about what does your life mean to you. Like, nigga, fuck you. My life is important. My life matters, and who I want to be and who I am is important. And you not about to sit up here and take that shit away from me just because you don't think I'm a human being. I know I'm a human being, and I know my individuality matters. And fuck you, you monster. That shit pissed me off. And so, like, he keeps looking at this girl like, where's the keys? Rose, give me the keys. Rose, where the keys? And then the brother swells up on him because he was yelling and shit and almost hits him with the stick. And then he's looking around, and then Rose is like, babe, you know, I can't give you those keys. And then he realizes that it's all a trap. Like, it's fully cemented in his mind, this has all been a trap. And then the bitch start clanking the teacup, and he passed the fuck out. See, that's why you gotta have your mental shield. You gotta read them dark romances and them dark fantasies and them fantasy books, and you gotta watch Village of the Damned and learn how to build up a mental shield. Because look it. And so they drag him to the basement, you know, through this door that earlier the dad said the door was all shuttered up and stuff because it's mold downstairs. Stupid shit. I don't know. Lying. He drag him to the bed. He wakes up, ties this leather chair in his room with this elk head over an old ass television set, and that's supposed to represent the buck, and niggas was bucked in slavery and how they're vulnerable and blah blah blah. And he kills them with the buck too, like it's symbolic and shit, nigga. It is, and I felt it in my spirit when he killed that whole fucking family. In the name of Jesus, I really did. So he's sitting there, and then this video comes on of their whole family with the grandparents when they were white, right? And the grandparents is basically telling him about how he is being given to science, and then the dude that's taking his body comes on, and he's just sitting there staring at this nigga, and I'm just like, I know, like, trying to show your humanity, like, he just gave up, like, trying to show your humanity to these people isn't gonna do much. They ain't gonna care. They're sociopaths. They don't give a fuck about your feelings. They get off on hurting people. But, like, I just wanted him to be like, I'm a human. I'm a person. Who I am matter. But, like, he needs to matter to himself first before he, you know, can really yell that out to these evil people. Maybe he just thought it was pointless. You know, you're dealing with serial killers and shit. And so then the TV goes off, and he's sitting there. The little teacup goes on again. Wait, no, the teacup comes on before he wakes up again, and then the man comes on. Then after that, he notices that there's cotton coming out the side of the chair. All this time, Lil Rel is scared for his friend because, like, dude's not picking up the phone. He ain't picked up the phone since he went to that party, right? So he goes to the police office, and Maxine Shaw, attorney at law, is there, and it's magical. Yes, it is. And he's trying to tell her the story. This nigga is talking about, I think that they're brainwashing them and making them sex slaves. And girl, no, I always tell folks, if you are feeling something or seeing something or hearing something that nobody else can feel, see, or hear, you gotta finesse the storytelling for them to believe you, or you just schizophrenic. Like, either you're seeing ghosts and goblins and ghouls and the serial killer white people are killing people and that's a reality, or you're schizophrenic, or you got psychosis or some shit. And so, you know, you really can't just be walking into people's spots and saying the blue bears are flying in the sky and shit, nigga. Like, they're gonna look, maybe because I read a lot of books, and most of the books I read that involve people, I learn from the shit I read, even fantasy. Most of the shit I read involves people, most of the shit I've read that involves people seeing, feeling, hearing, thinking stuff about things that other people don't believe. The best way to make them believe is to get real tangible evidence of this thing, or come up with a plausible story that makes sense so the people want to come with you so they can actually see what's going on. You don't go in there and tell them that they making sex slaves out of your friends and girl, and then she called the other detectives in and they all laughed this nigga out the fucking police office. So he decides to figure out where this nigga is, and he goes to get him. He's so magical. That's a friend, y'all. That is a friend. Wish they gave him like a black girlfriend. That would have like rounded it out. Like, he knows these white people. He knows there's trifling. And if they just gave him a black wife, girlfriend, something, that would have rounded it out. Like, we're just all black over here. Like, I don't know what's going on with my friend. He likes these white women, but like, I be telling him, you know, he needs to be cautious and aware, but he don't want to listen. That's why I got my black queen. I know it is. I know you do. And so this nigga puts cotton in his ears, and then while the dad is cutting open the head of the dude that's about to switch brains, the son goes down the hall to go get this nigga, right? This nigga busts him in the head with like one of them, I think it's it's not rugby. Rugby's that big ass weird looking football thing. What is the stick with the stick and the net? I don't fucking know, but I think those are the balls that you use with that. Is it? Maybe it is rugby. That was the balls for something else. He hits him in the head with this big ass ceramic ball thing, and hits him a couple times. You hit them till their skull is smashed in, love, but that's fine. Then he takes the buck off the wall, stabs the dad in the chest, like the lion roared out of him. And that's what I mean. These niggas got lions in them. They just need to fucking grab a hold and stop being fucking cowards and falling for this struggle acceptance and shit, because you think the closest to whiteness you get, the more whatever you think is going to happen, the closer to whiteness you get. I promise you, it may not end up like Get Out, but at some point these white people, if you're not clocking whether they're decent or not, are going to pull one over on you. You're going to be the scapegoat. Something bad's going to happen. So you need to be clocking, are the white people I'm surrounding myself with decent people? Because their culture dictates that they have bred sociopathy and narcissism and power and control and objectification into it. And culture is, you know, a subconscious thing that we have inside of us that we knee jerk into depending on, you know, what the circumstances. And you may end up getting arrested, dead. Who knows? Who fucking knows? So you're not clocking it, and so you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable. Just like I said last week, how sociopaths and people that want to hurt people and manipulate people are vulnerable because they put you in a box. Like, these white people didn't expect him to break out that fucking chair. They put him in the box of a dumb nigga that they about to steal his body, like the fucking body snatchers. And he was down for the count. That's why they left him in that room by himself. They had no expectation, because you put him in a box and you said that he is this weak person, and you didn't realize that he was a human being that was going to figure out how to get the fuck up out of there and kill your whole family. And that is the weakness of these manipulative people. And when you find the lion inside of you, and you can see the weakness in these people, you can either manipulate them back to get some shit out of them, or you can know how to steer clear of this, and you can see the signs and steer clear of those people. You know, I'm not, cause like I said, like I don't think there should be a huge age gap in dating, because like people are going through different developmental periods in their life. But if old niggas want to date 19-year-olds, I hope the 19-year-olds are smart enough to just be in it for a bag. And I hope they take them old niggas for everything they got. And I hope them old niggas feel humiliated and sad and miserable. Why are you 35 dating a 19-year-old, love? What's wrong with you? I hope you get everything you supposed to get. I hope she takes everything from you. I hope she tricks the fuck out you and shit. That's what the fuck you get. So if you want to trick these hoes, you know, just be careful, because once they realize you tricking them, you might end up dead. Do you? I prefer to stay away from them, because I feel energy, and I just can't have that energy around me, and I don't like pretending. Like, if I feel negative energy, I just try to keep away from those people. I'm not gonna like be mean or fucked up or nothing. I'm just gonna stay away from you, because I feel like some negative energy directed towards me, and I don't care enough about you to be asking you questions about it. No, I have to care enough for me to care for me to want to talk to you about your negative energy that I'm feeling. Like, and you've showed me enough to make me care about the negative energy that I'm feeling, to let me know that if I talk to you about this, you're not going to gaslight me and be like, what are you talking about? What negative energy? You know what the fuck I'm feeling. You know what you're doing. So most of the time I don't care about motherfuckers that have negative energy with me. I just try to avoid the fucking shit out of them. And then that works. That's how it works. It's magical. It's magical experience, magical life in the name of Jesus. But no, like he let that lion fucking roar, bitch. And I was just like, see, this is what I mean when I say we don't have to be traumatized and learn something. But if we're gonna keep wearing our vulnerabilities on our sleeve, our toxic vulnerabilities, not like the vulnerability of like, I have emotions, I'm going to express those emotions in a positive way. I'm going to communicate my feelings and things like that. Not that type of I mean the vulnerability where you put an outside validation over who you are. And so we wear that need for outside validation on our sleeve, and then it makes it easy for the predator and the manipulator to spot us and take advantage of it, love. Like, that's what they do. Like, you didn't deserve to be taken advantage of, because people that care about you will see that vulnerability and tell you, like, and be like, how can I help you not to have this vulnerability to where you put other people before yourself? So you don't deserve it, because most people wouldn't take advantage of that. But the people that will are looking for motherfuckers like you and to abuse and use and keep next to them and drain of all emotional stability. And so, like, the fact when he like so if you keep allowing that to happen, because you can't control the abuser, you can't control the manipulator, they're always going to think that way because that's just who they are as people. I mean, the rare few of them might go to therapy and get the help they need, but statistically speaking, for the most part, a lot of them are going to stay that way for the rest of their life. So all you can control is yourself. So in controlling yourself, you can be mad that they took advantage of you. You can grieve that person that got taken advantage of, but you have to constantly work every day at making sure that you never allow anybody else into your life to do that again, because they looking for motherfuckers like you. And you don't know where it's going to lead. It could lead to you getting an STD because they cheating on you a lot, or it could lead to you in a box. You don't know where it's going to lead. And so some of us who continue to keep making that mistake, it just will escalate and escalate and escalate. So we end up in fucked up situations that we either learn from or we end up in a box. Like, it is what it is. And so my whole 20s, I've taken that as a lesson, because I have to. Because and the thing is, like, people will say, like, oh, like, I don't want to take anything from trauma because it hurt me and it broke me, and that's all I want to take from trauma. I want to take the pain. I want to take the pain because the pain will remind me to never allow that shit to happen again. Every time I want to like excuse certain behaviors and shit, I just remember back to that pain and be like, no, we can't excuse that, love. Like, it's okay if that person is sad and miserable and shit like that, but like, you don't need to be around that, because remember what happened when you let that shit around you in your 20s and it took 7 years of your life? And it was torture damn near every day. Like, yep. You don't need that. So I take the pain as a lesson to motivate me to never do this shit again. And so he didn't stop. So it escalated to some bullshit. And so now he's going to take this pain as a lesson. I don't know. He needs therapy after this, actually. He needs to go to therapy first to work through and grieve and all this other stuff. But hopefully he can heal from this and just take this as a lesson, the pain as a lesson, to never allow anybody to make him hurt like that ever again. Loki was like, maybe this will be his lesson to never date a white bitch. But you know what happens when they experience extreme trauma from white people, and white people they date, they just go to like others. They don't, black men, they don't go to like, oh, I'm gonna start dating black women and shit. No, I'm gonna step out of my comfort zone and see if I can. No, they start dating the Latinas and the Asians and shit next. And I hope that except for the ones that are actually in love and love their partner's personalities and shit like that, I hope for the colorist ones, I hope their family's racist to you. I hope she's racist to you. I hope she makes you feel bad about yourself, because no, you're only dating her to be colorist. You didn't learn from almost fucking dying by this white this white bitch and her family. So obviously you need more you need more of a lesson, because you're not seeing people for people. You just objectifying people by their skin color, instead of like being like, oh, maybe I should like find someone that's for me, instead of just seeing like, oh, maybe I should find somebody that's Asian or Latina because they're the next on the tier underneath the white woman. And okay, you don't even have to date black women. Just make sure you ain't objectifying the people you dating. That's all. Like, how about that? How about we not objectify the people that we're dating? And only seeing them in the box that we place them in, instead of seeing them as like human beings. Like, I can run across a toxic black man, and I actively work at learning how to isolate that toxicity with just him, instead of being like, see, all niggas are like no. I might not have met one that isn't necessarily got them traits, but I'm not gonna say all of them are like that, because that's unhealthy. That's toxic. Like, so like, he stabs the dad with the buckhead, and then he runs upstairs and tries to leave, but the brother wasn't dead. Oh wait, no, he runs upstairs. The mom tries to get the teacup, but then he stabs her. Like, and the way he did it though was like a G. Like, she stabbed him in the hand, and he was just like I don't know if he was off of adrenaline or what, nigga, but like, he took that knife to the hand and then stabbed her and killed that bitch. It was magical. The lion came out, nigga. I hope he learns from this and goes to therapy and realizes that he shouldn't objectify people, and he shouldn't seek outward validation before validating himself on the inside. I really do, because why would you put yourself through a situation that's similar to this by being with somebody just based off of like colorism or some stupid shit? I really do believe it's colorism, because the shit that you were overlooking and allowing, like, you got me fucked up. I don't got time for this. Because she was playing in your face, acting like she was the white savior and shit, you just believe in her and shit. But then like, she should have known from jump that her parents were like this, that her family and the people that they bring around are like weird and shit. She should have known. If she was that much of a savior, she should have been known from jump then. And she should have took you seriously when you asked, do they know if I'm black? That's what I mean. So anyways, then he tries to run out the door, but the brother comes, and so the brother like tries to get him and tries to choke him out, but then like, he gets him and then starts hitting him in the head, and then he stumps him out and kills him. Yes, God. Then he gets outside, gets the keys from the gets outside, gets the car, and then the grandmother, the black maid, runs out in front of the car. He runs her over, and because she laying in the street, and it reminds him of his mom and how she was laying in the street bleeding out to death and nobody was there to help her, he puts this woman in his fucking car. He could have been gone. But you know what? They all needed to die. No, because the grandfather probably could do surgeries too and shit. Like, no, they all needed to die. And so I feel like it is what it is. So he gets in the car. She wakes up. They wreck the car. She dies. He gets out the car, and then here come this white bitch, Rose, with her shotgun trying to shoot at him. And then the grandfather comes up, the big black dude, and he tackles this nigga. And then he takes a picture with the flash on, and that wakes that motherfucker up. And then, so he stands up, and then he tells Rose, let me do it. Like he wants to be the one to shoot this nigga. So the grandfather takes the gun, and now he's like his regular self. I don't know how long the regular self version lasts, because at the end he shoots himself in the head. So I don't know if it like only lasts for a little bit, and then he felt that motherfucker coming back, so that's why he shot himself in the head. But he shoots Rose. Then he turns around and he shoots himself in the head. And then Daniel goes over to Rose, and he gets on top of her and starts choking her out. And then she does this like weird ass sociopath smile, like she likes that like it's like it was a mix between she likes that he's choking her out, and then also it was like she realized she was trying to make it seem like he was just like her, because he was killing her and shit. Like, oh, I made you evil and shit. And so that's what made him stop choking her, and he let her bleed out on the road. And the police came, and he was standing there with his hands up, and I was just like, oh shit. In the movie, I remember being in the movie theater, I was like, oh shit. And then when Little Rail got out that car and everybody in the movie theater applauded, I was like, yes. It's like God sent that man. We still don't know how he found him, but like he found him. His friend is here, so he got in the car with Lil Rel and they driving off. Lil Rel just looking at him like, "See, I told you so." This nigga ain't said shit because he's in shock. He's just completely traumatized. More trauma added on to the other traumas and shit. Like, I hope he sees a therapist to work through the things that he experienced, because that was a fucking horror show, and work through the having an affinity for the familiar, even if it's toxic. Like, you was letting shit go too much for me. He was letting them white people do too much for me. Like, I'm the type, if you touch me, I'm gonna be like, what are you doing? He wasn't doing enough for me to be like, and then, but you gonna have enough smoke for the black people? Like, why are these black people acting weird? Like, honey, everybody's acting weird, but you used to white people acting weird like this, so you just kind of like whatever about that. Like, it still affected him, but he's dissociating from it, basically. So that's what I mean when I say whatever about that. It's like how we do at a professional business meeting and stuff, and the white people just saying stupid shit, and it bothers you, but you just kind of dissociate because you need this job and you don't want to get fired. If you cuss out Karen across the table, you're going to get fired because the boss likes Karen because she's white and she has blonde hair and blue eyes, and you're the darkest of the dark, and you don't need that smoke right now. You got bills to pay. So you dissociating through all of that. And my thing is, like, if it was just that, if it was just the white people being weird and nobody was trying to kill him or anything like that, would he have just like stayed with this bitch? Like, knowing her family was like that, knowing her family and her family's friends were just, I believe he would have. Because I've had many a black male client that just describes the most horrific shit that they put up with their white counterparts, and I just be like, why would you put up with that? And it'll be some stupid shit like, well, that's just white people. So you're willing to put up with that for like 20, 30, 40, 50 years? You willing to put your kids through that shit? Are you serious? Like, but then I think I've been able to work with them to help them through that. And I can see that like, I see that I was like that only with niggas and shit. So I get it. But it's still like, I have to every day remind myself not to objectify men, because the patriarchy makes you think that men ain't got no feelings. And then, like, when I started seeing black men as clients in my private practice and shit, and realizing that, oh no, you niggas got emotions and shit. Wow. And so now every day I have to remind myself, men have feelings and they have emotions, and they're not the monsters that the patriarchy has, built them up to be. Like, they just don't know how to channel their emotions, and express them and communicate them, like a lot of them don't. And so, like, this is a good ass movie. Daniel Kaluuya played that part, like the maid and the gardener played their parts. Lil Rel played his part. Even Maxine Shaw, attorney-at-law, played her part. It was good. It was a good ass fucking movie, and it makes you think. Like, what? Like, that's what I want to leave y'all with. Like, what in your life are you familiarizing yourself with just for the sake that it feels comfortable to be uncomfortable? Because that may be your downfall one day and you're not even clocking it. What are you allowing that's uncomfortable for you, and you're just associating from it so you can put up with it, that you could potentially change if you wanted to? It's just going to be a lot of hard work and a lot of maintenance on your emotions to better understand yourself. Like, what are you allowing in your life? Because this nigga was allowing a whole bunch of shit, and look what happened. He almost got his brain taken out of his head, nigga. Like, there's too many people out here dying every day because, if they had just clocked these fucking abusers, there would have been a higher chance of them getting out of them situations. But because we're normalizing toxicity and we're leaning more towards the comfortability and the uncomfortable instead of the uncomfortableness and the positive, then, like, a lot of us are ending up like hurt and dead and all sorts of shit. Like, I don't want to be like that, because I've seen the path that it leads you to, and I'm not about to be up here dead or in some fucked up relationship or getting beat and all sorts of stuff. Like, right? And people get complacent because the apathetic part of the experience that you're having with other people or with someone else, the part where everything seems kind of mid and nothing really bad, super bad is happening. You just got these occasional like toxic moments and microaggressions. You start to normalize that shit and you think that it's okay. And then when something big pops off from that, you act surprised. Like, no, red flags all look the same in the beginning. So yeah, it's gonna seem like I've had clients to where like they'll like talk me down from like telling them that the nigga they with is toxic, just because it only happens like once every like 3 months and shit, but it's like a big thing that happens once every 3 months. Like the nigga hitting you in your face once every 3 months, or the nigga has some big argument where he's putting you down and making you feel like shit once every 3 months. Like, and then you have to take a week to heal from that, and then it happens again 3 months later, and every time you have to feel a little piece of yourself is gone. Like, no, I'm not. No, it's a pattern. If it happens more than once, it's a pattern. You're doing this shit on purpose and you don't give a fuck about how I feel. And so, you know, and these are people that have talked to their partners once every 3 months about that behavior, and their partners will say, oh, play face, oh, okay, I'll change, and then 3 months later they doing the same shit. I don't care if it's once every 3 months, once a year, once a week, however many times you do it more than once, it's a pattern, love. Like you doing this toxic ass weird betrayal, making me feel bad about myself type shit more than once. I don't have time for it. And then one time is enough, depending on what it is. So yeah, no, because I seen where like putting up with shit like that leads, and I'm not going back there. I'm not going back there, love. I'm not going back to that place where evil things happen and things just escalate and get worse and shit until some really bad shit happens and you can end up in a box or with STD. I'm not dealing with that. I don't know what you want me to say. So that's why it's important for me to maintain my emotions. These niggas out here leaving themselves vulnerable and shit just because they want the trophy wife and shit, and everybody say you need to be with a white bitch and stuff like that, and then you end up in some weird ass relationship where you doing slave play and shit every fucking time you have sex. You don't like that. You don't like it. Deep down inside, you don't like that this bitch calls you a buck nigger every time y'all fucking. You don't like that. No black person really likes slave play with a white person. They may play face and act like they do. They don't like it, love. Nobody wants to be their culture to be degraded with sexual undertones attached to it. Like, I don't care what you say. I'm not trying to kink shame, but no, fuck all that. Nobody want that. No, nobody actually enjoy that. And if they say they do, they're brainwashed to a certain extent to where I can't reach them with logic. So I'm just gonna let you have that. You can keep that. You keep that over there, and I hope it doesn't escalate to some bullshit later on. I hope that. But usually the patterns say that when bullshit starts and bullshit continues, bullshit will escalate. Just like it did in Get Out, and he wasn't fucking paying attention because he normalized white people just are weird. They just like to touch on you and shit. Like, I just feel like you wasn't giving enough smoke to these white people. Like, you were more upset and weirded out by the black people than you were the white people, and the white people were over here touching on you and being weird, but you just normalized that because that's just what white folks do. Like, no, love, I don't be around white people that do that because I'm not about to deal with that. I don't know what you want me to say. I'm not about to deal with white people being weird like that around me. Like, I don't care. I'll cuss you out. And then you're going to be mad. See, look. Then you're going to be mad. And you're going to try to make me seem like I'm crazy. When I told you nicely multiple times and you didn't listen to me. And so now you got the bitch. And you mad that you got the bitch. When I was very nice and sweet and kind when I said no, and you wasn't listening to me. Like, I've stopped talking to people because of shit like that. Like, don't be over here grabbing at me, touching on me, and being fucking weird and shit, nigga. And I told you I'm not a toucher. I'm not a toucher. I'm not a toucher. I'm not, unless you my nigga or my child or my cat. I'm not a hugger. I'm not a toucher, because people take liberties with your body like it belongs to them. And I've had it happen too many times to the point where, no, you're not going to graze the side of my titty when you release me from a hug. Like, girl, I've clocked it all. I just haven't said anything. People just think I'm an asshole because I'm not a hugger. Like, I have clocked it all. I just don't have the energy to argue with you while you gaslight me and tell me that it isn't what it isn't what it is. See, so like, yeah, you gotta like just be observant and like not allow bullshit into your personal life. Now, professionally, like it's gonna be hard to avoid completely, but that's why you watch some assertiveness videos on YouTube and TikTok and shit, and learn the rhetoric that you need to learn to be able to set professional boundaries at work. You keep a log of all the discriminatory actions that you have experienced, the name of the person, the day, the time, what they said, what you said. Get about 20 things on that log. You need a good amount, because if it's not enough, it's not going to be enough evidence to say this person was discriminating against you. And you take that shit to HR. Be like, no, this person's discriminating against me. Because legally, at least in California, if you try to get somebody arrested or take them to court, like recording them without their permission is not, legal in court. So you have to write that shit down. So yeah. You're not about to fuck with me, love. Like I'm not about to deal with no toxic people and they toxic ways of dealing with shit, because they've normalized hurting other people, and they are so enwrapped in that familiarity with toxicity that they don't want to try even to step out of that a little bit. They just too far gone. And you gotta recognize when you're dealing with those people, and this family was those people. They're not going. These are the type of people that are not going to humanize a black person. You gotta clock when you're being dehumanized too. You gotta clock it, because when you ain't clocking it, you just think this person is a nice person until they reach out and try to touch your hair, and you just out of nowhere, clear blue sky. The fuck? That's a good ass. I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I don't know. Maybe something sci-fi-ish. Maybe something happy. Maybe I'll do that Kid Cudi cartoon on Netflix. That's a good little cartoon. It's romantical and everything. It's nice to see black people, and they're dark skinned black people and shit, everything. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not gonna promise anything. I just wanted to get out, because like I have been thinking about it and shit. But yeah, I'm not. People be asking me to do Tyler Perry. I'm not doing no sad black woman traumas Tyler Perry movies. It's the same thing over and over again. Like, what do you want me to say about these Tyler Perry movies? Temptation is just a black woman, being sad and miserable in her relationship, and then low-key getting sexually assaulted by her boss, and then telling herself that it wasn't sexual assault and she liked it, and then like she ended up with HIV and punished for the rest of her life. Like, what do you want me to say about like Diary of a Mad Black Woman? Her husband cheated on her and she was miserable and sad, and then she found Jesus, and like, you see, like it's the same shit. How it's the same shit over and over and over again. Like after like the third Tyler Perry movie, there's nothing I can really say that's different. Like sad black women that have been traumatized. And I'm not saying that he doesn't do like happy shit like Meet the Pains and like Medea movies and shit that don't revolve around tragic black women stories and stuff like that, but it's just like, just in general, like I'm tired. I just don't feel like it. I mean, I just don't feel like it. Maybe I'll do the Taraji P. Henson movie where she should have won an Oscar. When she played that NASA scientist and shit, and she had to run across campus to pee and shit because in the rain, because they didn't have no colored bathrooms in the building she was in. Like, that was some bullshit, but she did that though. She made that science stuff, and she was a part of, and her and the other two was a part of building that rocket that went to the moon, and that was magical. That was a magical feat, and she should have won an Oscar for that movie, and they not trying to get this bitch her Oscars. That's what I'm pissed off about. Give her Oscar for that movie. Watch them do some stupid shit. No, because I just feel like Angela Bassett should have been won an Oscar when she did fucking Malcolm X. Like, she should have been. I just feel like that Oscar, like she been deserved multiple Oscars. And I feel that honorary Oscar was like a damn here. I just feel like it in my spirit, because she should have won an Oscar for Black Panther. She be putting her foot into these roles, and I feel like that's how they're gonna do Taraji. They're gonna do her like that. One day when she's like in her 50s and 60s. Like, hear it down. Like, that's why I just don't care about these white establishments like that. I just don't. Like, I don't care about the Oscars. I don't care about the Grammys, because they're all controlled by white supremacy, and motherfuckers is kissing up to these motherfucking white people that don't really give a shit about them and just want to make money off of them and don't really give a shit about the work that they put into stuff or the care and the talent. Like, it shouldn't have taken that long for Beyonce to win Best Album. It shouldn't have, but y'all didn't care. Y'all didn't give a fuck. It's like begging, and you know, maybe it's the Aries in me. I'm not begging for shit, and I feel like these powerful, strong black women that are talented should be at the same place, and they shouldn't want to beg for shit either. Like, fuck that shit, and that feels like begging, and they shouldn't be begging for shit. Fuck that shit. They deserve better than that. So you know what? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll. What is it? Hidden Colors or some shit? I don't know. Maybe I'll do that one. Since, you know, but I just don't. I don't. Girl. I don't really care about that movie. What is it? What is it? She robbing a bank or going to get her last check because they wouldn't give it to her or some shit. I don't fucking know. She crying and sweaty, and she filmed her part in 14 days, and he writes all the scripts, and I don't have it. I don't. So yeah, you're not gonna get a Tyler Perry movie out of me. You like do a Tyler, and it's all the same shit. Like, it literally is over and over again. Like, oh, she was sad and miserable, and then a nigga abused her, and then she became an alcoholic, and she was mean to people, and then she found Jesus, and her life turned around. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm just saying, like, damn near every movie though, like, you just gonna hear me say the same shit every fucking movie. Y'all really want to hear me say the same shit every fucking movie? Oh, like, you know, her husband used to beat her, and then she got a divorce, and then she ended up with this other nigga, but then her husband tried to kill her and the other nigga, and then like tried to like accost her mom at the grocery store. I just feel like shit like Get Out, there's like some in-depth psychological shit going on here. There's some Easter eggs and some like shit that like you have to like really look into to see. Like, I had to research shit for this movie. I had to research shit for the last movie and the movie before that. For Tyler Perry, I gotta research. It's just trauma. It's just trauma by itself. It's just black woman trauma, black woman pain and shit like that. And I don't have it in me to be watching shit like that. I don't, like, over and over. I don't. So we'll see what happens next week. But let me know what you thought of this review. Let me know if there are things in your life that you are becoming too familiar with that are toxic, and you're staying in it because it feels comfortable to be uncomfortable. And I don't know. Do you want to get out of it? What are you doing to get out of it? Or do you want to stay in it and to just see what happens and hope that it doesn't end up blowing up in your face? My experience is that eventually it blows up in your face. But like, some people end up married to their abusive partner for decades. This looks like our grandmothers. But then a lot of them ended up killing their husband back in the day because they couldn't get a divorce. So it blew up in a way. So let me know what you think of this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Later days.